Here is the Ottawa real estate market update for August 2025. And let me tell you, a lot is happening. Inventory is climbing, demand is holding steady, and prices are moving in different directions depending on whether you're looking at single family homes, townhomes, or even condos. Now, here's the part you don't want to miss. By the end of this video, I'm going to share what these numbers actually mean for you, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, or if you're just keeping an eye on the market in your area, and how you can use this moment to your advantage before things shift again later this fall. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's break down what's really going on in the Ottawa real estate market. All right, let's start with the big picture, the market overview. Ottawa's housing market in August gave buyers more choices, with active listings climbing to 3,971 homes. To put that in perspective, that's about 37% higher than the 5-year average in August. Now, before everyone panics and thinks we're heading into an oversupply territory, this is not a red flag. Ottawa's market follows pretty clear seasonal patterns. Late summer almost always brings more listings because sellers want to catch that busy fall market. The key takeaway: yes, supply is up, but demand is keeping pace. The sales to new listing ratio sits at about 58.3%, and we have a 3.2 months of inventory. Both of these numbers point to a balanced market, not only a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's more of a balanced market. And remember, 2020 and 2021 were not normal years. Inventory back then hit historic lows, which makes today's numbers look bigger than they really are. If we compare to 2018 and 2019, the pre-pandemic years, we're sitting about 33 to 34% above average. So yes, supply is up, but it's not unprecedented. Let's talk about the sales activity. Let's take a look at those sales. In August, we saw 1,236 homes sold across the Ottawa Real Estate Board region. That's down from July 1,318 and June's 1,602. But compared to last August, sales were actually up 12.1%. The slowdown from June to August is completely normal. Spring and early summer tend to be the busiest months, and things usually taper off as people take vacations and get ready for back to school. If we zoom out a little bit, year-to-date sales are sitting at 9,936 homes, which is 4.1% higher than this time last year. So even with the seasonal dip, overall momentum is still stronger than what we saw in 2024. And let's talk about the dollars. The average sale price in August was $686,536, which is up 3.6% year over year. If we look at the year-to-date average, the average is $700,828, also 3% up from last year. In total, about $850 million worth of homes changed hands in August. That is a 16% increase compared to last year. And it shows how big of a role real estate continues to play in Ottawa's economy. Now let's talk about prices and home price index. Prices are always a hot topic, so let's break them down a little bit more. So the MLS Home Price Index composite benchmark for Ottawa in August was $633,000. That is a modest 1.5% increase year over year. But here is where it gets interesting. Property types are moving in different directions. When we're looking at single family homes, the benchmark price is just a little over $700,000. That is up 1.5%, so this is pretty stable. If we're looking at townhouses, this is where we're seeing the biggest gains, up to 8.3% to a little over $466,000. If we're looking at condos and apartments, this is down slightly by about 1.1%, sitting at $412,300. So what does that mean? It means that if you're selling a townhouse, this is a fantastic time. Buyers are really leaning towards this middle option, more space than a condo, but often more affordable than a detached home. On the flip side, condo sellers, especially downtown, might need to adjust expectations. Demand just isn't as strong there right now. Let's dive a little deeper on the single family homes. In August, we saw 641 single family homes sold here in Ottawa. That is a 11.5% increase compared to August of last year. So what does that mean? It shows us that even though the summer months are usually a bit slower, demand is still strong. Buyers are out there making moves, and that momentum is carrying us right into the fall market. Let's look at supply. In August, there were 1,086 new listings added to the market, and that is up about 5% compared to last year. More listings means more choices for buyers, which helps keep the market balanced. It also means sellers need to think strategically because these buyers now have more options to compare and choose from. Speaking of choices, the total number of active listings in August was 1,977 homes, and that is slightly higher than last year, up 2.3% year over year. This is important because Ottawa has seen periods in the past where inventory was extremely tight, which pushed prices higher. Right now, the fact that we have nearly 2,000 active listings means buyers aren't as pressured, but the demand is still strong enough that homes are still moving. One of my favorite metrics for gauging balanced market is the months of inventory. In August, Ottawa sat at 3.1 months of inventory. Here's what that means. If no new homes were listed, it would take just over 3 months to sell through everything that is currently available. Generally, between 3 and 4 months is considered a balanced market, not tilted towards buyers or sellers. So right now, Ottawa is in that sweet spot of balance. Now let's talk about price. The average price for a single family home in August was $839,282, and that is up by 4% compared to last year. This is significant. Despite higher inventory and more listings, prices are still trending upward, which shows that demand is healthy enough to support a modest price growth. For buyers, it means you may not be seeing steep discounts, but you do have more negotiating power than during the bidding wars of a few years ago, which wasn't pleasant. For sellers, it means your income can still appreciate in value, but pricing it right is key in a balanced market. Let me know in the comments if you would like a deep dive into the townhouse market or even the condo market. I can definitely do that in my next video. Here are a few more stats for you to look at for the month of August. You will also see the stats going back to 2015. These stats are for the months of August only. 1,236 sales, 2,121 new listings, 3,971 active listings, and 3.2 months of inventory. And here we are looking at the year to date for August 2025. Again, all these stats are going back to 2015. A total of 9,936 sales, new listings, 19,204, active listings we're sitting at 3,611, and the months of inventory is about 2.9 at the moment. First, let's talk about what this means for buyers. If you're a buyer, this is a very strategic window. Inventory is up, so you have more choices. Sellers are motivated, especially heading into fall, and that gives you a little bit more room to negotiate. We're not seeing crazy bidding wars like in 2021. Instead, you can take a little bit more time, compare your options, and negotiate things like closing dates and even some concessions. At the same time, interest rates are still a factor. So while you might not have a unlimited budget, the fact that there are more homes to choose from gives you leverage you just wouldn't have had a couple of years ago. Now let's look at what this means for the sellers. If you're a seller, you need to know this isn't the market where you can just throw a high price on your home and expect multiple offers overnight. Those days are behind us, at least for now. But here's the good news. Demand is steady, people are still buying, and prices overall are trending upward. The key is strategy. Pricing your home correctly, marketing it effectively, and making sure it shows well are all more important, so much more now than ever. Townhouse sellers are especially in a strong position right now. Detached homes are steady, and condo sellers may need to be a little bit more flexible. But overall, Ottawa is in a balanced market, and that's actually a healthy place to be in. Now, the big picture. Let's zoom out for a second. What's happening here in Ottawa isn't unique. Across Ontario, we're seeing slowing sales and rising supply, but Ottawa is holding its own and in some ways performing better than other markets. Why? Ottawa has a pretty stable employment base, especially with federal government jobs, tech, education, but we're also not immune to bigger forces like interest rates, federal employment policies, and even trade issues with the US. The good news is that there are early signs of a turnaround in some other Ontario markets, which could eventually spill over into Ottawa and support our continued growth. So let's wrap it all up for the big picture of Ottawa's housing market in August. Inventory is definitely higher than usual for this time of the year, but demand is keeping pace. That means we're not in an oversupply situation. Instead, we're in a healthier, more balanced environment where buyers have more homes to choose from without tipping the scales too far away from the sellers. Sales have slowed down compared to the peak activity we saw in June and July, which is totally normal as the summer winds down. But when we compare this August to last year, sales are actually up over 12%. That tells us momentum is still there and the fall market could be very active. Prices overall are holding steady with modest increases, but when you break it down by property type, the story changes a little bit. Townhouses are leading the way with strong gains, detached homes are steady, and condos are seeing a slight dip, especially in the downtown core. That creates very different opportunities depending on what kind of property you're looking at. For buyers, this is a great opportunity. You have more choices, more negotiating power, and less of the pressure that came with bidding wars a few years ago. You can take the time to find the right fit and still have leverage at the table. For sellers, the message is all about strategy. The market is healthy, but buyers are more selective. Pricing correctly, preparing your home, and working with the right marketing approach will all make the difference in how quickly and successfully your home will sell. All in all, Ottawa is in a balanced, stable position as we head into fall. And honestly, that's good news for everyone, whether you're buying, whether you're selling or investing, or simply keeping an eye on where the market is headed. Balanced conditions create stability, and stability builds confidence. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, feel free to share it, hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to drop that comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more straight talk on real estate. I will see you in the next video, but in the meantime, if you have any questions about the real estate market in your neighborhood, in your area, even on your street, make sure to give me a quick call, or you can always email me at jeanricher@jeanricher.com. Merci beaucoup et bonne journée.